tense that it almost trembles, nearly hurts. You can feel precisely where the tension is and what the tension feels like, and then we'll turn it loose and feel the corresponding relaxation. We're going to exaggerate tension in order to exaggerate relaxation and become as relaxed as we possibly can. If you would let all this vitality now flow from the feet into your left arm, make it tight and tense. Raise it just slightly off the floor and point it. Make every muscle tight from the shoulder down to the tips of your fingers. Tight, 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 just as tight as you can make it, tighter than that. Put lots of tension into your left hand and arm. Hold it, feel it, know where the tension is. Then let it go. Release, relax. Let warmth and relaxation flow in as tension flows out, and roll your arms from side to side just a bit. Just sort of shake it out and release. Okay, move your consciousness to your right hand and arm. Compare the feeling in your right arm with the feeling in your left. Now raise it slightly off the floor. Point your fingers and produce all the tension that you can from the shoulder down to the tips of the fingers. Tighten every muscle. Tighter than that, produce all the tension you can. Really tight. Feel it shaking, trembling. Know specifically where it is, exaggerate it, and let it go. Release, relax. Roll your hand from side to side and let warmth and relaxation flow in as tension flows out. Move your consciousness down to your left leg, feel of it, and then point your toes. Lift your leg slightly off the floor. Point your toe as if you're trying to reach something just beyond the reach of your toe and make it tighter, as tense as you can. Feel the tension. Know where it is. Exaggerate the tension and let go. Relax. Roll your foot from side to side and let warmth and relaxation flow in as tension flows out. Okay, if you just want to perhaps work with their faces for a while, let's see if we can get them totally relaxed. Open your mouth really wide as you can open it. Stick out your tongue as far as you can. Clench your eyes tight. And screw up your face. Make a face. Tense and tighten. Then let it go. Let your tongue fall loose in the back of your throat and let it go. Okay. If you just want to take a few minutes and feel centered and relaxed, and just let your whole body feel fluid.
In the center of your being, see a point of white light. Imagine that point of white light and see it growing, expanding, filling your whole chest, your whole abdomen, your arms and your legs, and your head. You're so filled with white light now that it's emanating from your body, so that your whole body is encapsulated in a white light. Now, in this white light, in this bubble of white light, float away, and let's go together to a nice place, a quiet, open meadow, a familiar place, a sacred meadow. When your feet touch the grass, the green grass in this sacred meadow, let the
Don't need both? I don't need the clip-on mic? I don't need this one. Well, you and I are both going to be up here. You'll use that one. Okay. Yeah, I'll put it in the back. This workshop this weekend is going to be an extraordinary experience, I think, for every one of you. It has a particular purpose. The most important purpose, goal, objective for this workshop is for you to discover that your mind can do things that you probably never thought it could do. I expect every one of you to have experiences that you've just never had before, in realizing that your mind is not limited. We have in our culture, unfortunately, given people little numbers that are supposed to relate to intelligence quotient, IQ numbers. And then we've had problems with people, probably when you and I went to school, they weren't talking very much about learning disorders. We were just called stupid. Now you got a little bit kinder term. It's a learning disorder, and that's even socially acceptable these days. But learning disorders are not fun. They're not easy to live with. Even if you don't have a learning disorder, even if you're a brilliant student, you take in information easily, it's still arguable that you're not using all of your mind. You're not using it to its greatest capacity. So we want to discover first some of the things that our mind may be capable of that we didn't think we were capable of. We want to go into 3 levels. One we call making your mind more. So that's the first step. That will be a matter of developing learning skills and memory skills. And the second level of making your mind more is discovering your hall of records and being able to interact with your record keeper. The next step will be brain integration, getting the right and left hemispheres of your brain to work together in cooperation. Activate both of them, then get them to integrate, which makes a transformation of the mind. And then finally, we're looking for brain transcendence, brain integration and brain transcendence. Now, the transcendence may not occur until the Mastermind workshop. That's about 10 months away. But the foundation for the Mastermind workshop will be laid this weekend. And I would like all of you who are not seminary students, if you can, to seat yourself next to a seminary student. This is important because that seminary student is going to become a person who will help you get the value of this workshop. This is 30 days. We'll be with you this weekend, so we have only 2.5 days or so to give you the information, but the development of this information is a 30-day workshop. The seminary students will definitely be working on this workshop every day for 30 days. If you want to get as much value from this workshop as the seminary students, then you need to pair up with the seminary student so that person can help you for the next 30 days to keep up with what they're doing. This is a workshop you won't learn in a weekend. It does require a 30-day period of time to absorb, to practice, to accept, to realize the steps that we're going to be giving you here. I would like to very carefully point out to you that there is no reason to be concerned about your past experience with schools, classes, teachers, study, and learning. Don't be concerned with your past and how bad that might have been. Your past is not your potential. Don't look at your past, please. Don't remember terrible times that you had in a classroom. We don't want it to be that way. We don't want to bring up old ghosts. We want to build a new relationship with our mind, and I want to assure you that every one of you has the mind, the brain power, the ability to do everything that we're going to do in this workshop. It does work. You can prove that. Interesting thing about miracles is you can prove that they won't work for you. And other people can prove that they will work for them. So nobody's going to come to a conclusion that this will work for you. This will work for you if you decide that and make that work for you. So make that decision, be decisive, be a co-creator, decide if nobody else gets this workshop, you're going to. Now that's red terrace energy. Get familiar with that red terrace energy. It is expectancy, excitement, anticipation, and it is determination and decision making. I am going to make this work, by God. The by God is a very important part of that statement. I'm going to make this work, by God. That's claiming His help. That's maybe the simplest form of prayer. I want to make the point that the Hall of Records is not imaginary. It does exist. When we use the term Hall of Records, we are talking in this workshop, in this particular workshop now. We may talk about it in a greater dimension later. In this workshop, we are talking about what is called the Lesser Akasha. So if you're not familiar with that term, I'll put it up here. And give just a brief explanation of what the Lesser Akasha is. The greater and the lesser Akasha, there is something called the Akashic Records. When we refer to that, generally we're talking about the greater Akasha, but not always. The lesser Akasha is also an Akashic record. To try to give you a glimpse of what the Akashic record is, I'd like to give you just a few statements about it. First, from Manly Palmer Hall, his description. Manly Palmer Hall says it this way: you're thinking right now. Every time you think, you produce an electrical discharge. Throughout this room, there is a quanta of electricity constantly present in the room around us. If you think a thought in this atmosphere of electricity, your thought will affect the equilibrium of this electricity. The universe is tenacious of equilibrium. You might want to remember that little line. The universe is tenacious of equilibrium. We will use that line several times, particularly when we get to the prosperity workshop, so you'll find out why you can't get ripped off. And then it'll never happen to you again once you find out. For now, what we want to know is, if you produce an electrical discharge with your mind, it will disturb the electrical atmosphere around you. In the walls, ceiling, floor, chairs, every object in this room is in a process of change. The things that look absolutely static and solid are not as static and solid as they look. They have atoms which are in motion constantly. The atoms are constantly changing their relationship with one another to form crystals and molecules. Now, when an atom is formed or when it changes, It does so in an electrical field, and the electrical field in which an atom was born will put its stamp on that atom. So that atom will carry a record forever of the electrical environment in which it was born. It will even take that signature that was stamped on it when it was born, it will pass it on and pass it on. So as the wall, ceiling, floor, objects in this room are in a process of decay, essentially. That's this changing atomic structure. Your thoughts are dictating the nature of the changes. That means that your thoughts right now are being written into the very fabric of this room. Interesting thing about that is that in a room where there is a very highly emotionally charged incident, that expression of electricity into the room is much more powerful, of course, than in a room where the thoughts have been not so emotional. Emotional thoughts, really strong emotional scenes, are known to create very strong records in the room around them. In my wide and varied early attempts at a career, I worked at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. That hotel has only recently been dismantled, but for the 60 or so years of its existence, there was a room in that hotel that was closed off. At the time that I was there, it was never used for guests because there had been a murder in that room. And every guest, without exception, that had checked into that room since that time had seen the murder over and over and over until the hotel just sealed the room. And they did do some attempts at exorcism and all sorts of things. Those things don't often work very well for commercial establishments. So what was happening there is, you know, people were saying the ghosts are still there. Not likely. But the record of emotions was there, and people in a sleeping state, in a very receptive state, would see this dreamlike thing, but then it became not so dreamlike. They actually saw it as if it were in three-dimensional reality. They experienced the power of this experience. Now, similarly, you've probably had some of these experiences. So I want to see if I can hit on one that you have had so that you get a sense of what we're talking about in the Lesser Akasha. You've gone into a room, and for some reason in that room, some unknown reason, nothing about the decor, nothing that you could put your finger on, but for some reason you didn't feel comfortable in that room. You wanted to back away from it. Have you had that experience? Have you walked into maybe a great cathedral that had been a place of worship, of quiet, of solitude perhaps, of reverence, and you walk into the room and automatically your voice goes hushed? Have you had that experience? There are sacred sites which can affect you profoundly, and there are terrible terrorist sites that can affect you profoundly. If you're a sensitive person, you have felt this somewhere in some place at some time. Now, that sense is called psychometry, the ability to feel an atmosphere or an object and get glimpses or ideas of its history. Now, the technique for doing that is quite simple, but that too is a paradox. Do you remember Jesus referred once to the mystery schools? Did you know that? Jesus made a very direct reference to the mystery schools when he said, "Behold, I give you a new mystery." He was establishing a new mystery school. Mysteries are stated in paradoxes. And one of the paradoxes that Jesus used is stated this way: "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, he's using the idea of a burden first. Take my yoke upon you. Take upon you the heaviness of what I'm doing, the heaviness of the cross that I bear. And then he says at the same time, but that yoke is easy and the burden is light. Now, we're getting a double message here, and I'd like to try to show you the resolution to this paradox in this way. Pretend for a moment, or perhaps remember for a moment, maybe this happened to you as a child. Pretend that you have climbed a tree. Did you ever climb trees when you were a child? When you're climbing a tree, what you see is the trunk in front of you and the limbs. What you are not likely to do when you're climbing a tree is look down. So what happens is you climb a little higher than you thought that you might, and when you get pretty high in the tree, then you look down and you're scared to death, and you cling to that tree for dear life and scream. And as a result of your screaming, your father comes running out, wondering what this terrified scream is about, and your father stops at the foot of the tree and he says, "Let go, it's okay, I'll catch you, let go." Now, your dad doesn't want to climb the tree and retrieve you under his arm. That's not a very good technique. He wants you to turn loose. Now, look at the paradox. There is nothing easier than simply turning loose of a tree and falling into your father's arms. And there's nothing harder that you will ever do than turning loose of the tree and falling into your father's arms. Now you got the paradox? No? It's easy to turn loose. All you have to do is let go. But getting yourself to let go will be, not maybe, will be the hardest thing that you have ever done in your life. Means you must make a decision. If you want to fall into the comfort of the Father's arms, you're going to have to turn loose of the tree that is your belief structure, that you cling to, because it's familiar. It may be painful, but it's familiar. You know the pain. It's familiar pain. And the fear of the unknown may be greater than your desire to let go of the old belief structure and fall into the safety of the Father's arms. Now, that paradox, that mystery applies to this weekend. If you let go of the familiar, fall into a new experience, it will support you in a friendly way. I said that psychometry is very easy and very difficult. Now here's what's easy. I'll give you both sides. The easy part is this. If you take an object, any object, and hold it in your hand, perhaps close your eyes, that usually helps. Close your eyes and let images come to your mind. The images that will naturally come to your mind are associated with the history of that object. Not just images, but feelings. And you, by nature, are either sensitive to smell, touch, taste, sound, or whatever the sense may be. You'll be more sensitive in one area than other people tend to be. Whichever one of those senses is most familiar to you, that sense will come. It may not be images. Now here's the hard part. The hard part is almost any image that you, any article that you can touch, you can look at and try to reason what the background of that article is. Now that will stop you from experiencing psychometry. That's the hard part. You can't stop thinking, can you? There's a chatter that goes on in your mind. There's a conversation going on in your mind. It goes on 24 hours a day for all your life. And if you're left brain dominant, and somebody gives you an object, better make sure you don't look at it. Don't try to figure out what it is. Don't try to figure out its background. Anything that you use from a point of logic or reasoning will interfere with the psychometry process. But if you use psychometry, you can touch anything, any object, any room, any place. Just touch it and let images come to your mind. They will almost certainly be disjointed, because the right hemisphere of the brain that is used for psychometry does not deal with lines. It doesn't deal with frames around things. It doesn't put things in a framework, either a time framework or a space framework. The right side of the brain that does psychometry does not draw lines of separation. So the part that separates things into neat cubicles and puts them into sequence and makes sense of them, that's left brain. The right brain will get images, and the images will likely not make any sense. They're not supposed to make sense to you as the psychometrist. But if you're holding something, you're psychometrizing it for somebody else. If you'll just speak those images, this is what I feel, this is what I see, I don't know what this means, these are just the images that are coming. The other person can very likely put them into the slots where they belong, and they will be amazed at what you're coming up with, even though you don't know what this image means. You get a picture. When you get those pictures in psychometry, do rely upon them to the extent that you record them. That's what the Mystery School Journal is for. Record them. Record what you feel about anything that you touch. Now, for you people in the seminary program, we're going to be asking you to do this every day for the next 30 days. Everything that you touch, wherever you go, be aware of feeling. All of the feelings, all of the senses. Be aware what you feel when you approach a place, when you enter a place. Anything that is not rational, logical, anything that you didn't figure out that just came to you, make a note of it. At some point, a little further along, those notes are going to begin to make sense, and you'll be able, with the other side of the mind, to put them into perspective. That's the left brain's part of the job. And do remember now, there's not one side of your brain that's better than the other. There are people who are so bogged down with putting things into rational, logical process that they never get anything off the ground. Then there are those other right brain people who are so heavenly minded they are of no earthly use. Now let's marry those and get an integrated mind and learn to use both sides, not preferring one over the other, integrating them into the marriage of the mind. And then we'll look at transcending the mind to tap the higher mind that can tell us things. The lesser akasha for you is literally your body, your entire body. It was believed a few years ago that the brain has memory cells, and it has enough memory cells to record much, much more than you will ever experience or be exposed to in your entire lifetime. Your brain alone has enough memory cells to take care of everything that you will ever encounter. But what is known now is that your entire body is made out of memory cells, not just the brain. Every cell in your body is a memory cell, and it has the capacity to store memories. So memories are stored in the musculature of your body. That's why things like Rolfing, deep soft tissue massage, that's why when that is done, images will come to your mind and you will, well, let's see now, the English word is vomit. The Greeks have a much nicer phrase for that, catharsis. So a catharsis comes up and you vomit. Old experiences that you don't need anymore, they pour out. They may pour out in screams, in tears, in laughter, or whatever, but they will be released from your body when they're brought up from these memory cells of your body. So your body is a record, it's a book. And it is referred to in two ways by the ancients. There is a book of books, that's your whole body, and there are 7 books of wisdom, sealed, each one with a seal, 7 seals, each book guarded by an angel with a 2-edged sword. That angel is there to open the book to you or to prevent you opening the book if you are using that power for the wrong purposes. So it can cut through the seal of the book and open it to you, or it can cut you if you try to use the energy in the wrong kind of way. So remember, 7 golden candlesticks. Golden candlestick is an ancient term for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, because a candlestick gives light. Light is enlightenment. So you have within you 7 golden candlesticks, 7 books in the Hall of Records. These books are your books of life. They are books about how you built your body and your consciousness and your purpose for this lifetime. Then there is a greater book. That book actually, as it reads in Revelation, the word there is biblios, which means library, not book. So the great book is a library of 7 books. There's a book of knowledge and a book of life. So if I've confused you, maybe I better put this up here. There's 7 books sealed with a seal. There are 7 books in the library that is your body, in the Hall of Records, the Akasha, that is your body. Then there is a book of knowledge. And there is a book of life. Now I want to relate these 3 levels of books to 3 things. I'm going to use Hebrew terms here, so just make a note of them if you like. I'd like you to remember them. Torah, Mishnah, Kabbalah. Okay? Torah, the written word. It's also called the Law and the Prophets. Mishnah. Mishnah is the wise man's interpretation of the Torah. Kabbalah. Kabbalah is revealed knowledge. All 3 are available to you, and the rabbis say that these 3 things are what Moses brought with him down the sacred mountain from beyond the cloud. He brought the Torah, the Mishnah, and the Kabbalah. The Torah he gave to the people. The Mishnah he gave to the teachers. The Kabbalah he gave only to initiates who were adepts and were apprentices to the spiritual wise men. Physical, mental, spiritual is another way to look at this, Torah, Mishnah, Kabbalah. These are real. These are not just ideas. Don't think of them as just abstract concepts. They exist within you. You are a walking library. You're a walking library of everything that your soul has experienced. And according to those who know, including, as an example, Edgar Cayce, there's never been a time when your soul did not exist. Sorry for the double negative. It's the best way to say it. There's never been a time when your soul didn't exist. You have existed since before time. You existed before time was. And Jesus promised his students, his ILC class, that they would have the ability to remember all things that they would ever have need of. Now, I've got to write down that phrase. It happened. All that you have need of. We're going to take just that portion of it. All that you have need of. Now, the reason I'm stressing this is because if you need information, you will get correct and true and accurate information from the source. If you go after information, let's say information about your past lives, if you go after that, not because you have need of it, but because you're interested in it, it would be entertaining to you, it would be a nice ego support experience, then remember, that's the number you dialed. The best way to know who's on the other end of the line is to know what number you dialed. And when you dial ego, you get ego. When you dial entertainment, you get entertainment. And so a lot of people with these past life regressions come up with information that is good for entertainment purposes only, or it's good for ego purposes only. You have any idea how many Mary Magdalenes I have met in this lifetime? I mean, she has really multiplied. Very fruitful. So the one qualification, just the one limitation, if you consider it a limitation, the only limitation that the Christ put upon you in His promise is you need to have need of the information. If you need it, you can get it. That's the promise. And He made another promise with it. He said, those who seek will find, not maybe. If you seek, you will find. Claim those promises. Believe them and access them. His words were, as stated by Casey. Now, they're not stated this way in your standard version of the Bible, but Edgar Casey worded it this way. I will cause you, or He, the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, He will cause you to remember all things whatsoever you have need of from the foundations of the world. You can remember back to the foundations of the world. If you have the opportunity to study the techniques of the ancient schools of the prophets, what you will find is that their most sacred, most used, most practiced technique was memorization. They memorized word for word every word of the Torah. Now, if you've ever looked at the book of Genesis, have you? Maybe not. The book of Genesis by itself, now that's only one of 5 books of law. But just that one, to look at it, it's 40-something chapters. How many chapters, David? 50 chapters. And, I mean, it's full of shittim wood and numbers and all sorts of things that are not easy to remember. But these prophets were required to memorize, word for word, all the books of the law and the prophets. Why such emphasis on memory? Because memory is not just associated with the past. If you want to look into the future, you will also remember that. The senses that are used for memory are the same senses that are used for looking at a remote place, remote viewing, or looking into the future. The senses that must be developed are the senses of memory. So we're going to work quite a bit on your ability to remember in this workshop so that you can remember who you are. Remember why you are. Remember why you came into this lifetime. Remember what you came to do. Remember how to do it. Can there be anything more important for you to know? Remember why you built your body as you built it. Remember how to heal your body of anything, any strength or weakness that was built into it. Remember how to do it. Your sense of memory is your ability to access the information that is in the Hall of Records. Your body is the lesser Akasha. The earth itself is one of the greater Akasha. The great Akasha is the universe itself. So every act, every word that has been spoken on this earth came from a thought which produced an electrical discharge, which the earth recorded literally in its fabric. It's literally atomically recorded in the cells, the molecules of this earth. Everything that has ever been spoken on earth is recorded in the ground around us, in the environment around us. It's accessible to us if we can open the memory without judgment, without opinions, without preferences, without logic, without figuring it out. That's what we have to not do. Don't figure it out. Do remember it. Anything that you need to know, remember it. Let yourself remember it. I'm going to ask David to come up now and give you a little demonstration which we will talk about in detail, and I want to assure you that you can do what David is going to do. Would you like to? What I'm going to ask you to do is to give me a name of an object, something physical, not an abstract idea or a person's name or whatever, but do get fairly arcane with this if you want. I mean, don't give us ordinary objects, books, candles, floor, ceiling. Let's get into eucalyptus and hieroglyphics and platypuses. Or is that platypi? Platypi, okay.
Don't give them ideas.
Okay, we're going to go through you and have each of you give us a name of an object. Be creative and don't make it easy. Alan Barker.
Star of David.
Say that again.
Star of David.
Star of David.
Okay.
Ron?
Mermaid.
Good, mermaid. Tom?
Eiffel Tower.
Eiffel Tower.
That was mine.
You had already picked that. Hey, let me use this opportunity since that happened. I must use this opportunity to tell you, those of you who were in the discovery group last week may not have noticed it, but people in the same area of the room will build identical temples. When you go to the top of the mountain, you build a temple. We've tried this on hundreds of groups, and we find that everyone sitting in this area has a crystal temple. Everybody back there has a golden temple. Everybody back here has a Greek temple. People over here may have an open-air temple with no roof. But you will exchange ideas with those close to you quite automatically in the state of consciousness, and this has happened right here. So this law of telepathic communication gets quite obvious as we go through these classes. Linda Danielle.
Unicorn.
Good. Unicorn.
That was mine.
That's too bad I got it before you did.
Marilyn.
A manatee.
Manatee. You know what a manatee is?
Yeah, that's a
Sea cow.
It's a sea cow.
They're called sea cows. Yeah. Tomahawk. Good words.
Oud.
What was that?
Oud. It's a musical instrument.
Okay, how's it spelled?
O-U-D, I think.
O-U-D or O-U-D-E? O-U-D, okay. It's a it's a musical instrument.
Okay.
From what culture? Greek? Woodwind or string? It's string? Okay. Jackie?
Silica. Silica.
Silica. You know silica? Peter?
It's a rock.
Water mill. That's like a water wheel that grinds, okay? Moon. Chalice. Dumbwaiter. You know what a dumbwaiter is? A dumbwaiter is a little elevator that you use for a kitchen on the first floor and it delivers food in the second.
Okay.
Joseph?
Water lily.
Water lily. Michael?
Frankincense.
Frankincense. It's getting better in here all the time. Les?
Pine tree.
Pine tree.
Pine tree. Scots pine, whatever. Scots pine.
He just put pine trees.
Linda?
Rutilated quartz. Rutilated quartz.
Rutilated.
R-U-T-I-L-A-T-E-D. Mutilated quartz.
Rutilated.
This has little golden filaments through it.
Oh, okay. Rutilated quartz, yes.
Okay.
A mirror?
Mirror.
Obelisk.
Obelisk.
Mount Fuji.
You gotta go bigger than that.
Mount Fuji. Fujiyama.
Fujiyama.
Opal.
Opal.
Slingshot.
Slingshot.
Lichens.
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 The Great Pyramid.
Okay. The Great Pyramid. Akasha.
Yes, I'm trying to learn how to.
Okay. The Akasha. Mel?
Hydraulic brake.
Hydraulic brakes. Not just any brakes, hydraulic brakes.
Hydraulic brakes. Like,
Praying mantis. Good. Michael?
cartouche.
Cartouche.
One time you have to think about it.
Sea fan. A form of coral. Sea fan.
Hot tub.
Okay. What time?
That was too much like a, what?
What time? Right after class? Joseph?
Cosmic energy.
Okay. Cosmic energy. We thought we might go 40, but let's go at least for each person in the room. Okay.
Filament.
Filament. Patrick?
Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope.
If I couldn't really think of one, it's written on the back of our shirt. Oh, kaleidoscope is written.
Ah,
I'm surprised someone else didn't do it.
cheat, cheat.
Back of me.
David? David? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Oh, that's too easy.
Okay, how many? 33. Okay. I tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to give David just a couple of minutes with this, and he'll let us know when he's ready. And then I'd like you to call out a number, and he will tell you the corresponding word, or call out a word, and he will give you the corresponding number. He's just going through them in a list in his mind right now to see if there are any blank spots. And as soon as he's had time to go through the list, he'll let us know. And then we'll test him on it. Frankincense is what?
I think that's spelled right.
We're not going to spell it anyways. He doesn't have to spell it.
They're not misspelled, it's just creative spelling.
Y'all got it now?
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hold up your hand.
29.
Hot tub.
Right.
27.
God, I should know that one. It's Egyptian. Heck. Cartouche.
Joseph.
7.
Pardon?
Number 7.
Oud.
Tom.
10.
Moon.
You can also call out the word and he'll give you the corresponding number. Jackie?
Mount Fuji.
19.
16.
Rutilated quartz.
Linda?
4.
Unicorn.
I forget.
Joseph?
32.
A kaleidoscope.
Watermelon.
That wasn't on there.
Watermelon.
Oh, watermelon. I thought you said watermelon. 9. No one's pulled a trick like that. Now it's saying the word's not on there.
Okay, Michael.
Chalice.
Chalice.
11.
Richard?
25.
Hydraulic brakes.
You make it easier when you give him the one that you gave.
No, he didn't give that one. Mel did.
Carol?
28.
Sea fan.
Les?
17.
Obelisk. Oh, wait a minute. Mirror. Excuse me.
34.
You didn't go 34.
Just testing.
That's fair. Donna?
11.
Chalice. We've already done that one.
Okay, take it the other way now. Give him the object, let him give you a number.
Pine tree.
15.
Tomahawk.
6.
Opal.
20.
Mantis.
26.
Akasha.
24.
Great Pyramid.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Great. Oh, 23.
I believe you can do it, though.
19.
19.
Okay.
Mount Fuji, 19.
Okay. It's very easy doing this to make people think you're psychic, but that's not what is going on. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, David is going to explain to you exactly how he did this and how you can do it. We also have a handout. We're going to practice it. Now remember that what we're working with right now is just a list of words on a page. That is not all you're going to use your memory for. So don't protest too soon in advance. this is not the only way I want to use my memory. We will show you how to use your memory in other ways other than just words on a list. But one thing I want you to see is when you start working with your memory every day for 30 days, your memory in every other way, every other application, not just including lists, just working with your memory will awaken your memory. It will increase your self-confidence in your memory. It will organize your memory, and your memory will improve 1,000-fold. So we're going to come back, and David is going to teach us to do this particular technique, and then we're going to move on to some other things. Take 15 minutes. We'll come back at 9, okay? This part of the work, we're going to be working with some techniques that will be new to most of you, and want to mention a couple of things about them. The music that is playing, I suspect that you were aware of it for the first few minutes, and then you're still aware of it, especially now that I've mentioned it. Okay, this is very special music. It's recorded just for this workshop. It is at a beat of 60 cycles per minute. It's done by Daniel Emanuel. It's done for the purpose of accessing your memory and synchronizing hemispherical activity. So that will be going all the time while we're in a learning experience. Secondly, you know the balanced relaxation, the subtler senses, the separate reality, the sacred mountain. Now, how many of you have not done those? You haven't done them, Donna? Okay. All right, then we're going to take a very brief time to lead you through those, because it's essential that you get into the temple to do this experience. So we're going to do it very quickly. This is much, much more quickly than we would ordinarily do it in a class. What I want you to do now is make yourself comfortable, put down anything that's on your lap, your note-taking things or whatever. Make yourself comfortable in your chair and close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, take in a deep breath through your nose, let it out through your mouth in a sigh, and as you sigh it out, sigh away tension and relax. Let go completely as you can, and become totally relaxed. Take just a moment to focus on your left arm and hand, all the way from the fingertips up to the shoulder. Be aware of your left arm and hand. I'd like you to deliberately create tension in every muscle of that arm and hand that you can. Tighten it up, really tight, tight, tight. Squeeze, hold it till it trembles, and release, totally release. You can shake it out if you want. And then just relax that arm and feel the difference. This is differential relaxation. Be really clear on the difference between what it felt like before you did that and what it feels like afterward. Warmth and relaxation flow in as tension flows out. Now your right arm, tighten it up. Make all the tension that you can. You need to stretch and tighten these muscles before you relax them, not just passive. Hold it, release, and feel the difference. Be really consciously aware of the difference. Warmth and relaxation flow in as tension flows out. Feel a fluid motion through your arm that is washing away tension and even dis-ease and disharmony, toxins, upset, anything that may be in the muscles or nerves of your body. Put your attention now on your left leg, and you need not lift it off the floor, just tense the muscles right from your hips down to the tips of your toes. Really tense and tight as you can get it. Hold it, tense, tense, tight, tight, release. Let go. Shake it out if that helps, and then feel the difference. Carefully feel the difference when you take all that tension out And let the warmth and relaxation wash like a river through your leg. Feel the fluid motion of the relaxation. Right leg now, tense it from the hip down to the tips of the toes, tense and tight. Really exaggerate it, exaggerate the tension. Hold it, release. Let go completely. Let warmth, relaxation flow in as tension flows out. Feel the motion of your own circulation flowing through your legs, totally relaxed. Bring your attention to the pelvis, the buttocks, the muscles of that whole area. Squeeze the buttocks tight, and all the muscles of that entire area, the pelvis, the buttocks, tight, tight, tight. Hold it. Release. Let go completely. Now feel the increased circulation flowing from that part of your body right down through your toes. Come up now to the abdomen and the low back. Pull in your tummy and arch your back away from the chair just a little, and feel tension just in that whole area of your body, front and back. Hold it tight and release. Let go completely and feel warmth and relaxation flow in as tension flows out. Come up further, up to the shoulders now, and bring your shoulders forward in front of you as if you're trying to touch your shoulders together in front of your body. Feel the stretch across your shoulders and feel the concentration in front. And exaggerate it and release. Let that go completely and feel the immediate rush of warmth and relaxation that comes in when you do that. Pull your shoulders back in the opposite direction, touching your shoulder blades together behind you, and exaggerate the movement and the tension. Feel it, hold it, get in touch with it, be really aware of it, and release. Let go. And still with the shoulders now, we're going to add the neck. Pull your shoulders up to your ears and your ears down into your shoulders, and feel the tension, the stretching expression on your neck and across your shoulders. Hold it. Release. Feel that rush of warmth go up your neck as you do that. Now, just drop your chin down onto your chest. Just drop it down and feel as if your head is a ball on the end of a string. And roll that ball around to the left and around to the right, all the way forward. Roll around again, one more circle in that direction. And then reverse in a large, lazy circle. Just relax those muscles and let your head move around like a ball on the end of a string without the slightest tension. And then back to upright. And then stretch your neck again by just turning your head as far as you can to the left, as if you were looking over your shoulder with your eyes closed, all the way in that direction. And then swivel back to the right and all the way over the right shoulder. Stretch the neck muscles just a bit. And come to center and relax. Now the muscles of expression, the muscles of the face, tend to carry more tension than any other muscles of the body. You can exert 40 pounds of pressure with your jaws when they are tense. I'd like you to open your jaws as wide as you can. Really stretch it wide open. Stick out your tongue as far as you can and clench your eyes tightly shut. Make a face. Nobody's looking. I've got my eyes closed. Really do it. Get into it. Now stretch your mouth into the widest grin that you can achieve. Stretch those muscles and arch your eyebrows. Lift them up. Wrinkle your forehead. And then bring it down again into a kind of frown and work the muscles of your face just a little bit. Just a few times, work the muscles of your face. Pucker your lips and then smile again. Pucker and then smile. It's all right to giggle. That helps relieve the tension as well. Perfect. Now with your eyes closed, relax again, and now I want you to feel a kind of heavenly light It's a liquid lubricating light. It's warm, sparkling, effervescent, and it is healing. White light pouring down on the top of your head, right in the center of the top of your head. This liquid healing light is flowing down over your head. Let it flow in every direction, down over the ears, over the brow, and just relaxing all the muscles of the brow, all the muscles of the scalp. This is a penetrating light. It goes in through the skin, underneath the skin, into the head itself, relaxing the eye muscles, the inner ear, and everything about the head. Fill your head with sparkling, effervescent, bubbling, sparkling, living light. This is healing light. Let it heal anything that it touches. It is a relaxing, massaging, liquid lubricating light. Fill your head, your face, your scalp, your neck, all over. Let it flow down over your neck now and out across your shoulders. Feel it massaging your shoulders gently and going in under the skin to touch and relax the muscles and all nerves. Let this liquid lubricating living light flow down over your arms, in and around and through, inside your arms, all the way to the level of the marrow of the bone, all the way down your arms, flowing like a river of living light. This is a living presence. This is the light of the Christ flowing through you. Let it cleanse and heal and relax all at the same time. Fill yourself with this light. It's beginning to fill your chest now. The chest, the breast, under the arms, inside the chest, touching the thyroid, the thymus, the heart, the lungs, the liver. Every internal organ of the chest and the abdomen, relaxing the abdomen, flowing down into the organs of digestion, elimination, filling the abdomen, the pelvis, cleansing, healing, relaxing, pure white sparkling light, flowing through the legs now like a river, right out to the bottom, down to the ankles, your feet, the soles of your feet, flowing out through your feet and your toes like a river of light that will carry this sparkling river of healing light out to the world. Let this light flow through you. You are not a reservoir, you're a pipeline. There is no limit to the amount of light that can flow in and through you and out of you to heal all situations around the globe. Be a pipeline from the source of life and love to flow around the globe, to put healing light into troubled spots all over the world. Let yourself be a pipeline, accessing the light from the source and giving it wherever it is needed. Now, in the center of yourself, in what you feel is your center, perhaps the center of balance of your body, from the center of yourself, feel a turning now, a turning like a mild whirlpool of energy, of this same sparkling light, turning in your center and beginning to flow out of your center like an umbilicus. Put all of yourself into that flow of light and let yourself flow out of your body into a pleasant place. You are going to a pleasant place to be with your source. This pleasant place will appear as a meadow, an open, beautiful meadow, full of deep, lush green grass. There may be trees, mountains in a distance, and there is a brook of water, cold, clear, sparkling mountain spring water flowing over rocks in the brook. As you settle down into the meadow, I'd like you to feel the grass underneath your feet. Know that you feel it. Recall a time when you stepped in deep, lush green grass. Recall that feeling. It's cool, moist, springy. Feel the sensation on the bottoms of your bare feet. Walk in the meadow. Don't float around. Take steps deliberately, walking in the grass. And as you walk, feel the sunlight licking at your face, warm sunlight. Remember that astringent feeling of sunlight on your face, how it feels. Feel that. Don't just imagine it, be there. Get into it with all of your senses simultaneously. Listen to the sound of water in the brook. Listen to the sound of water trickling over stones in a mountain stream. Trickling, gurgling, laughing, singing, dancing, sparkling water. Listen to it, see it. See the sunlight glinting off the surface of the water, sparkling. See it. See the beauty of your meadow. Smell the freshness of the air. Feel the bark of a tree. Feel the texture of the bark and smell the smell of balsam and pine, cedar, the trees that are about your meadow. There is a sacred grove here. It may be a grove of olive trees. It may be a grove of Mediterranean cypress, tall trees pointing to the sky, lifting the soul to the sky. It may be the sacred grove of the Druids, of old oak trees with great bunches of mistletoe, their sacred herb growing in the branches of the trees. There's a sacred grove here that you can walk in and around and through. It contains every medicinal herb that you could need for your soul's healing. And you can harvest it at will. Walk from your sacred grove through the meadow and into the brook. Lower your feet into cold water. Feel that feeling. Recall a time when you've done this. Lower your feet into the cold running water of the mountain stream. It's very cold, very wet. Feel it. Make the feeling real. Don't just imagine. Go there. Be there. Experience this separate reality. Know that it's real. Make it all that you're experiencing at the moment. Be there with every sense. Taste the water in the mountain stream. Cup it in your hand, bring it to your lips. Taste the sweet, cold, clear mountain spring water. Taste it on your lips, on your tongue, in the back of your throat. Take a swallow of this mountain water, pure water, living water. Take into yourself the living waters. There is near you a sacred mountain. This mountain is stretched like a great stair step to the sky in 7 levels. And you can walk up the terraces, the terraced gardens of this meadow to the clouds. And the peak of the mountain is beyond the cloud. And from behind that cloud a great light shines, the sun itself, brilliant light, streaking across the sky from behind the mountain, from behind the cloud at the top of the mountain. Begin to climb the sacred mountain now and experience every level of it. This is essential. Let yourself be excited now, not just passive, not just relaxed, but anticipate in the next few moments there's going to be a difference in you. As you enter the first garden, it is primarily red. The flowers here are mostly red, bright, brilliant red. See the flowers, feel the texture, put your nose to one, experience it, and let yourself get excited. Anticipation, something is going to happen any second now. I want it, I anticipate it, I know that it's coming, I've decided I'm going to lift myself into a new level of consciousness, get the red terrace energy. This will begin to lift you off the lowest level on your way up the sacred mountain. Climb into this first red terraced garden, feel the excitement and anticipation, and climb a little higher over rocks, through the shrubs, the bushes. Climb as you have to. It may be very easy, or you may pull yourself up by struggle. Whichever way appears to you as the way to get to the next garden. The second garden is orange, and this is the death of the past. The death of everything that you used to be, every limitation, the way that you saw yourself in the past. This is a garden where you bury all of the things that no longer need to be alive in your life. Make it a sacred burial ground, but a place of beauty as well. It is orange, beautiful orange marigolds, orange flowers that glow with their orange color. This is the death of the old. This is the garden of forgiveness. If you can think of anyone that you haven't forgiven, release them now with forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive your parents. Forgive God if you need to. Forgive us all. Forgive your worst enemy. Release them in forgiveness so that you are not tied to the earth. This is the garden of forgiveness. Move beyond the orange into the yellow. This is new life. You don't know yet what you can be in the new life. Just know that you're starting to discover it. This is a yellow sunlit garden, a garden washed with the sun. Wash yourself in the sun in this yellow garden of new life. And in this garden you will say to yourself, I will die to who I used to be to find out who I will become. Go beyond the yellow garden into the green. You are at the level of the heart now. This is the fulcrum color, the color of balance and healing. Green is the most healing color of all colors in the universe. Walk through the green garden with ferns and moss and grass about you. There are great boughs of evergreen tree filtering the light. As the light comes through these branches of the trees, the light becomes green, and there's a presence walking in the cool of this garden. This is the presence of the Sacred One, your friend, your dearest friend, feeling like an older brother who cares for you, knows everything about you, your worst secrets, and loves you intensely, and will represent you to the Father. Walk with this friend and let your heart open in love that is not afraid. Trust. Open your heart in love and trust, unconditional love. And to let that heart open as a gateway, a doorway between earth, which is below you, and heaven above you. Open your heart. Go beyond the green garden into the blue. The blue garden becomes passionless, emotionless, clear. This is a garden of clarity. I want to be clear about my intent, my purpose, my commitment. This clarity will allow me to stand on the shoulders of emotion and go beyond them into the beauty of heaven. This is heavenly blue. This is a garden of heavenly blue morning glories, blooming around you and giving you the clarity of the blue garden. Go beyond that. This is the violet garden now, the sixth level. This is garden of responsibility, and you need to say in this garden, Lord, if you will lift me beyond the cloud of unknowing into your presence and show me what I must do, I will take that responsibility. I will execute it. Make that commitment to your source. However you see your source, by whatever name, speak to the source and say, show me clearly, and what you show me, I will do. Make that commitment, and as you do, the cloud will part and a beam of light will come through the cloud. Step on that beam of light. That is your pathway, straight and clear to the top of the mountain. At the top of the mountain is the sun itself, so brilliant you can't look into it, but with your eyes closed, go into the sun itself. And the brilliance of the light surrounds you on all sides. Feel as if you swallowed the sun. It is shining from inside you, and you are the light at the top of the mountain. You and the light are one. And say to yourself, I am the light that lights the world. I am the light that is shining down on the cloud beneath my feet. I've just come through the mist of the cloud, and now my light shines down on that and the valley below. At the top of the mountain, there is a sacred temple. Let that temple appear to you in whatever form it comes to you. Once it is formed, claim that same temple. Every time you return, don't change it. Walk toward the temple now, and you will find a sacred reflective pool in which you can see the image of your new self, yourself in perfection. Go into the pool if you like and wash. Come out of the other side with a robe of white, cleansed and purified to enter the sacred temple. Approach the temple. It may be made of gold, of diamonds, of glass. It may be made of wood or marble. The temple should take the appearance that you want, that you believe is appropriate to house the highest that is within you, the source itself, God within you. lives in the sacred temple. Provide a temple suitable for your source. Above the door of the temple are the words, "The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him." This is a command to your body and all things of earth to become quiet, so as not to distract you as you enter into this holy temple. The doors open before you. Walk inside and see how it feels. See how it smells. Use all of your senses to experience this inner sanctum of the holy temple. Before you there may be an altar, and there a violet flame. Put yourself into the violet flame to burn away anything that is not absolutely pure, and from the flame take a nugget of gold to build a new self, a new you, made of purest gold, refined in the transmuting flame, tried in the fire, and purified. Claim that nugget of gold for making your new self. And then notice that there is a hall of records in this temple. There is a door. This is the door to the great library, the lesser akasha that is within you. Approach that door now. On the door see a promise written, which says, "I will bring to thy remembrance all things, whatsoever you have need of, from the foundations of the world." Those words are carved or written on the door of this hall of records, your inner library. Open the door before you and go inside. Here is a great hall of records which may have ancient scrolls or great ancient books. It may be filled with computers and computer screens. Whatever is appropriate to your approach, your image of the Hall of Records, it is here. Go into this Hall of Records. It has a record of your soul from the foundations of the world. There is a book of life here. There is a great book of life, a book of remembrance, and the 7 books sealed with seals, with angels guarding them. All of these exist here. And there are many blank books waiting to be filled with your thoughts and realizations, and there is a record keeper. Approach your record keeper now with your eyes cast down at the floor of the Hall of Records and see first his footgear or hers. Is it male, female, your record keeper? Wearing sandals, boots, shoes? What do you see on the feet? See the feet first, and let your eyes gaze upward just slowly, just a bit. What is he or she wearing? Are there robes, pants, a dress, something beautiful and splendid? Continue up the body until you see the face of your record keeper. This is a being who works for you. You do not work for this being. This is not the master of the hidden house. This is the keeper of the archives, the records. This is your servant. And he is to do, she is to do what you ask, your bidding, to record things exactly, precisely, and to access what the teachers give to add to your records. See and experience the record keeper. Ask for a name. What is the name of your record keeper? Now remember that this record keeper is very real. He or she has always been with you, but now in this moment you're experiencing an encounter with the embodiment, the personification of your own memory. You're seeing your memory at work, and you're taking responsibility for your record keeper, which is your living memory. If your record keeper does not give you a name, you give a name to your record keeper. Assign a name to your record keeper now. Be thankful for encountering the presence of your record keeper. And tell your record keeper this: when I wish to get your attention, when I'm listening to a lecture or even reading a book, when I am taking in information that I think is important, I will knock at the door of the temple. This is done by tapping my fingers on my temple. Perhaps the first two fingers of the left or right hand, the index and second finger, you will tap either on the forehead, the center of the forehead, or on your temple, on the side where it feels most comfortable. Couple of taps there. This brings your record keeper, this calls your record keeper to attention. Then, as you hear a quote that you want to remember, squeeze your hand, the one that you're not taking notes with, use the other hand, and squeeze that hand into a fist very hard. And as long as you're holding that squeezed, every word that you're hearing, every idea and thought is recorded carefully by your record keeper. Now watch your record keeper doing this. Squeeze your hand now and tell your record keeper, write in an empty book right now, just write these words. I will bring, see the words written out carefully in beautiful script. I will bring to thy remembrance. See the words being written by your record keeper. Look over his shoulder, her shoulder, writing in the book. I will bring to thy remembrance all things whatsoever you have need of. From the foundations of the world. Now look at that entire quote written before you now. Take a picture of it with your mind's eye. Your eyes snap like the lens of a camera, a shutter. Take a photograph, a quick photograph of what is written there. I will bring to thy remembrance all things whatsoever you have need of from the foundations of the world. Now say to your source, not to the record keeper, but to your source of life, I claim your promise that you will bring to my remembrance all things that I need to know. I will bring to thy remembrance all things whatsoever you have need of from the foundations of the world. I claim that promise. I expect this to work. I awaken my memory, and I make it now my tool. I will never think again that I have a poor memory. My memory is as good as my willingness to take charge of it, to take control. It's mine. My memory is mine. It will obey me. It will respond to me. My memory is, in fact, absolutely perfect. Everything that I have ever consciously been aware of is recorded in this Hall of Records. I haven't recorded it carefully. I haven't filed it properly. But now I have this record keeper before me whose job it is to file this reference material as I take it in. Now speak to your record keeper and say to him or her, you are to follow my instructions. You are mine. This is my memory. This is my body. I will not be a victim of my body or my memory any longer. I will be the master of my own house, subject only to the source of life itself. Now, having done that, remain relaxed, but take a deep breath and open your eyes, knowing that you can stay in temple consciousness. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to stay absolutely still and quiet and relaxed. You can move about, you can look about, you can talk, you can discuss. And you need to remember that every time you want to access your memory, call your record keeper's attention, you're going to take your fingers and tap at the door of the temple. Just tap a few times. This means I want to remember. And if you look up here, I want to give you just a couple of motions that you will see David doing this. You will see him doing this frequently, even outside class when you are encountering him. If he's putting in a memory, he taps here. If he's recalling a memory, he taps here in the center of the forehead. You'll see David closing his eyes and he really goes at it. I mean, he really taps so you can hear it. And he gets the attention of his record keeper. He has stored the information. He calls it back. Now, when you are storing the information, you want to make a movement that's not just a contact, but it's a real squeeze. Get the attention of your record keeper. I'm recording this. Hold that fist for as long as you want the recorder to work. And when you hear a quote that you want to remember, I will watch for you tapping. I'll stop for a moment and I will repeat. Repeat it with me inside yourself and see it written. Get 2 senses involved at least. Hear it and see it. So you record that quote, get it down. Now at first, take just short quotes, very brief things. Add it and add it as you go along through the remainder of the 10 workshops that we have left coming up. With each one, you'll be a little more demanding upon your memory until you find yourself remembering long portions of ideas and thoughts. And know also that as you're remembering something that I am saying to you, you are adding to it your understanding and your guidance. And you invite your record keeper to add notations with this, realizations. Call a book of realizations. We're going to suggest that when we begin a particular section of the workshop, a lecture or an exercise, that you open a book by that title. So the title for this workshop is Hall of Records, Inner Light Consciousness Hall of Records Workshop. Find a book in your library that is blank, put that name on the cover, Inner Light Consciousness Hall of Records Workshop. See it, take a picture of it. Make it real, know that it's there. Watch your record keeper sit down and start to write in script everything that you hear. Really important to know that you're in charge of this process. It will work. Decide that. Don't wonder, don't hope. Please don't hope. You don't hope for what you have. You have it already. It's yours already. Claim it, use it, know that it will work. Now, in that book that you have open, Hall of Records, the script writer, the scribe in your Hall of Records is making notes now. David is going to come up here and show you the trick of what he did earlier. We're going to give you just 10, the first 10 of what are called memory pegs. Now this system is not from Inner Light Consciousness. This is not something that we invented. It is taken from a German memory expert who created the system of memory pegs. We're going to give you the first 10, let you work with them. We'll take 10 more tomorrow morning and 10 more tomorrow afternoon. Once you know the first 10, actually you can go to 100 very easily, because the second 10 and third and so on are additions to the first 10. So the first 10 are the only ones that are critical to know. So we're going to show you how these memory pegs are formed and how they work. Would you like to welcome David? Create a little free negative ions.
This subject of memory has always been one thing that I've been interested in. People, it's one of the that they can do quickly. That, David, you got the sound. That will allow you to see that you can do something very quickly. It's not so hard. One of the most important things with this technique is that it has to do with association. We call the technique a memory peg technique. We choose memory pegs, things that allow you to remember what you're trying to remember. This technique you use quite often, if you think about it. Have you ever tried to remember a dream and you're sitting there thinking, I can't remember, I can't remember. If you can remember one thing about the dream, usually you remember the whole dream, right? You remember, oh, I dreamed about a porpoise. And then you remember you were in the sea and you remember what you were doing. So memory often has everything to do with association.
Excuse me, please. All of you know that this is a training class. You're here with interns that are learning to present this material. I'm going to just interrupt David for 1 second to give him a suggestion that will help you. If you speak too softly and gently without punch, they won't get it. So be careful to punch the lines that you want them to get. Give it some energy when you say, now remember this. Get them to punch it and watch for them to tap and to squeeze, and when they do, repeat what you said.
Okay.
Put some real life into it. Go at them.
Mm-hmm. So, association.
Grit your teeth and talk to them like you talk to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm always talking with him. The second point is relaxation. Again, relaxation. When you want to remember something, you often think, what is it? You're trying to remember, I'll tell you in a few minutes, it'll come back to me, right? Isn't that what we say? And then you stop trying to remember what you're trying to say, and then boom, you forget about what you're saying, and it comes right back. It's a little secret, it's a little technique. Memory does not have to do with willpower, it has to do with association and relaxation. There's a thing you also should know about memory. There are two parts to memory. Memory is short-term, okay? Often we remember something and it goes right out. And could you imagine all the little details we would have in our brain since we were kids? So, again, a lot of memory is short-term, but there are some things we want to remember a long time. Names, telephone numbers, things like that. So there are long-term memory. And long-term memory is something that I think most of us want to deal with. Short-term, we hope will become long-term. These techniques we're learning tonight, the memory pegs, are techniques that will help us eventually to develop a long-term memory that we will use in conjunction with inner light consciousness in the Hall of Records. Okay? Now, you're going to find this the most amazing, easy technique. Tonight, you're going to learn to remember 10 words just like that, and you'll see how easy it's done. We're going to use the association technique first. You've been shown tonight the relaxation technique. Now we're going to learn the association technique. How many of you have seen Harry Lorraine do this type of technique before? Raise your hand. Okay, so some of you are familiar with this. What he did is take the numbers in the English system and give them a letter, an associated letter that we can remember with a number. For instance, the number 1 is the Roman numeral 1. Okay? And the Roman numeral 1 can help us to remember that it looks like a T. Okay? So in your Hall of Records now, see this, that you have the letter 1, and then a Roman numeral 1, and then the letter T, because it looks like a T. If you take this part out, it's a T. So it's an association technique there. The number 2 is a Roman numeral 2. Okay? And if we connect a 2 here with a little line, we get the letter N. Okay? So put that in there. See it clearly. See it clearly. 2 is a Roman numeral 2, and it's an N if you connect it with a line. 3 is a Roman numeral 3. Okay? Anybody got this one already? M. And see, there you go. I didn't have to tell you. and M. Okay? 4. 4 has its primary sound as being an R. 4. That's how I remember. It's an R sound. So it's the letter R. 5. Can anybody guess what this might be? It's the Roman numeral 5. V. No, it's not a V, actually. They tip the V, and he makes it into an L. I think the reason he didn't use a V because there are not very many words that begin with V. So L is a more common letter. In fact, when you're getting into long numbers like 500 and 50s and more than that, L is more common. So it's the letter L. 6 is similar to a J. Okay, 6 is just a J that's a little backwards there. So it's the letter J. 7. Can anybody guess what 7 might be? If you're trying to connect it with a letter, it's a K. So basically, if you add that part of it here, it's a K. 8 is an F. Okay? It's the script F. So it's an F. 9. 9 can be 1 or 2, a B or a P. You see how they're related. And the 10, now this is the real secret, okay? This is everything. If you learn this, you can do everything I did. The 1 is a T, right? And the 0 is an S. In their system, they use as an S. So that's really the only one that you have to remember. It doesn't look like anything unless you did this to it and just connected here. It's the roundness of the letter, I assume, in his technique. The next step in this technique, you got these in your record. The next step in your technique is to make a word out of this that you're going to remember. And when we make a word out of these numbers, when you are given a word to remember, then you associate that word with the word you're going to remember. Let's say I was going to remember the Great Pyramid, okay, for number 1. The first letter that we use with number 1, we use a consonant with a vowel, so that we only have one consonant, and we remember it phonetically, T, okay? T, the consonant we hear is T, so we know it's a 1. There's a primary word that we remember, and this is the first word that I will write with each of these letters, okay? Primary. And there's a secondary word that this will help us remember. It helps you remember this much easier if you have this. This is a technique that actually I added to it. A secondary, and that is to give the word an image that you can see very clearly. That's a picture, that is an image, that's something you can see every detail about. And what I use for tea is teacup. Because tea is often, for some of you, you can pick tea and you see it in a box and you can see the tea. But for me, a teacup with coffee in it or tea in it is easy to see. So any object that I associate with tea or teacup, I see that object associated with tea or teacup. If, for example, I had the word Great Pyramid, I would see a little tiny Great Pyramid floating in the teacup, right? So when you say number 1, I think of the teacup, oh, there's a Great Pyramid in my teacup. You see, that's how I remember the word. Some words are more difficult than others. If you give me a word that I cannot get a picture for, then it's obviously harder. I have to be more creative. Like one of you gave me tonight the number 5. Manatee, which I'm not so clear on what that looks like. So what I have to do is take parts of this word and separate it into pictures that I know. Man and tee, okay? And I used a golf tee, and I used a man standing on it, okay? And the letter for 5 is law. So I have a picture for my secondary word for this is a law book. And I have it in my memory as a book that's on, let's say, a podium like this. Okay, and I remember, every time I remember that number, I remember the book in the same position on the same space. So anytime I get a symbol, I put it on top of that law book. You got it? So I see on top of the law book a man and a T, maybe on top of what I think is the word. And that helps me to remember the word. So that's the basic idea. Number 2. Now, some of you can use your own words for these. I'm not saying this is the way it is. You can use your own idea. Noah, number 2. Noah. Now, you hear only the consonant N, Noah. Okay? Now, some of you may find Noah very much an abstract figure. We don't really know what Noah looks like, right? So what I have, pardon? Long beard. But do you see his face? How are you going to mix? What if someone said Paul Solomon? Okay. Short beard. So a key to remembering these words is that you have to create something that's weird, that's funny, that's unusual. That helps you to remember what you're seeing. I use Noah's Ark, actually, for this picture. I see Noah's Ark. I see this big, strange boat. And anything that I have to remember with Noah's Ark is always going up the ramp. So every time I think about the word, I see whatever it is going up the ramp. So I go to that place every time, and it helps me to remember what it is. 3. There's 2 possibilities for this. This is a more difficult word. I use mow or maypole. Maypole is something that children play around. It's a pole with little ribbons or ropes on it, and they go around the pole. And you can see your object hanging on the ends of these strings going around the pole. And for me, I find that more difficult, so I use the word mow, which is a lawnmower, and I see anything being bumped into that lawnmower or on top of the lawnmower. So you can choose either one. 4, ray. Okay? Ray. Put that in your memory pegs, in your Hall of Records, ray. I use for this picture a ray gun. Something that I can shoot with. It's a little laser gun, doesn't hurt anybody, but I associate anything like tonight was unicorn. So I saw the little gun, the little handle, I saw the unicorn's horn, and I saw the gun handle going through the unicorn. So I was twirling the gun around the unicorn. That's how I remembered. 5, law, the law book, or any way you want to remember it. 6, jaw. Jaw. Now, a secondary word that I use to help me to remember jaw, something specific, something I can see as I see a skull, and I see the jawbone of the skull. So anything that I remember, I associate with that part of the skull. 7, key. That's an easier one. I see a key, and anything that associates with the key, I remember. Fee, 8. Okay, the secondary word I use for fee is a dollar bill. I always see a dollar bill, and I associate fee with the dollar with the word I'm trying to remember. Fee. 9, I use bee. I use a bumblebee. Or you can use P. But that is smaller. It's hard to associate something with so small, so I use a B. And 10, can anybody guess? What would we do for a 10? Toes. Right, you got the idea. This is the secret to all the rest of the numbers right here. Toes. So I see my toes, or somebody's toes. I put the object in between my toes, on my toes. I see a big foot with toes. The more unusual, the easier it is to remember. Can anybody guess what 11 might be? Not quite, almost. 2 T's. You'd have 2 T's, okay. So you got to make a word with a vowel in between those 2 T's. You can use tutu, tit, tot. To me, tit's very easy to remember. My wife hasn't been home in a month. So, or a tot, if you can see a little girl, right? If you make it funny, it's easy to remember. I'm serious. Okay. All right. So go over these in your mind. Number 1, remember the word that you've got. Okay? Number 2, again, go over in your mind what the word is. Number 3, see it clearly. What's number 3? See the image. You've got to be specific. Number 4. Number 5. Get it clearly. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. Okay. Now we're going to do something really quick. It's going to only take 5 minutes. We're going to pick 10 words. We're going to put them on the board, and then I'm going to turn the board around. I'm going to let you call the words out, and let's see how easy you remember. Okay. Let's call a word out. Let's make this quick. Harp. We'll make this easy now. Don't make hard words. Make them easy. Easy, simple objects to start with. Harp. 2. Light bulb. 3. Bobby pin. 4. Coat. See the coat clearly, okay? What kind of coat is it? Another word. Book. 6. Peach. Picture. What kind of picture is it? See it with your memory peg. 7. Jackie, 7. 8. Pencil. 9. Tie. 10. Watch. Okay, go over number 1 again. We'll go through it twice. 1. See the harp in an association with your picture. Okay? T, if that is your picture.
I'm going to give you a suggestion here. You've done something here that makes it difficult because David has given you the image of a law book and you put a book beside it. Book doesn't work very well. What you can do for a law is use a sheriff's tin badge, a sheriff's badge, or a policeman's badge instead of a law book. That will give you a better association for this one.
Okay, number 2, a light bulb with Noah. Okay. See Noah handling the light bulb. See him stepping on the light bulb. Anything you want. 3, bobby pin.
You've got to put 2 bulbs on the heart.
Right. I missed that one. Bobby pin, 3. Maypole or mow. Okay, get the image clear.
Imagine a lawnmower mowing down bobby pins all over the lawn.
Yeah, everything's flying.
Instead of grass.
You're messing up my image, Paul.
Okay.
You see-
All right. I don't want to dictate your image. You get your own. Sorry.
4, coat. What kind of coat is it? You have to see the image clearly. A raincoat is a wool coat. What kind of coat is it? See that with your image. Maybe you have a huge coat, a small coat. 5, book. 4, coat. Ray or ray gun. Ray or ray gun. It's doing something with the coat. It's shooting holes in the coat. It's doing something with the coat. 5, law. Okay. Choose your image for law and then associate it with book. Is it a Bible? What kind of book? See the cover of the book. This is Hall of Records training, learning to see clearly. 6, jaw. What kind of jaw are you seeing? What kind of head is it on? How is it associated with picture? Picture. See what's on the picture. Choose a picture to remember. You got lots of pictures around here. 7.
For this one jaw, many of you may associate that with the movie Jaws. It's a little more dramatic than the human jaw, so that makes it work better.
That's another choice.
Get a dramatic image.
7, key. That's an easy one. That's one you rarely miss. Associate that with flower. What kind of flower is it? Choose a flower and remember that flower. See your image sharply, then go to the next word. Flower. Key. 8, fee. Okay, associate the image you have for fee. A dollar bill, $1,000 bill, or anything you want. Pencil. What's it doing with the pencil? See it's associating with the pencil in some way that helps you remember. 9, tie. Okay, the key word, the peg word is bee. Bee. What's that bee doing with the tie? If you make it funny, you'll remember it. Absolutely. You know, it's carrying. 10, toes. See, watch, associating with your picture of toes. You know, it's some way. You got it? Toes, watch. All right.
Let me just interject something here. You don't want to just memorize these peg words. You want to understand how the peg words are formed out of the numbers. So be really clear. You don't want to try to remember that this is a T. Remember that it is made out of a Roman numeral. So you know how you got T. That way you don't have to depend on memory for this. These are figured out. So a T, the 1 is made from a Roman numeral, so is the 2. You just put a crossbar on the Roman numeral. Remember how you arrived at the imagery for each number so that you don't have to memorize the peg words for the numbers, because this will work all the way through. You don't want, in your imagery here, you don't want to use a word that has 2 consonants, because the consonants are going to be our numbers. So it is important that when you get to toes, T-S, T plural, that you're not using another consonant sound there. So remember how each word is formed, and then you'll have your entire numbers from 1 to 100, and even beyond. You can go to 500. They're all formed in the same way. So when you get to 22, What do you think that word is, 22?
Two ends.
None. None is usually the word. So you can see how it's formed. Know how it's formed and you've got it. You don't have to remember the peg words. You remember what's associated with them. Know how to make them.
Got it? It's in there.
It's getting to how the numbers are.
That's the thing. Once you remember, okay, remember,
Go through them again, forming.
one, let's go back to the previous page.
Let me help them with a fresh page because that one was a little bit jumbled up by the time you were through. Okay, number 1 is a Roman numeral. Take away the bottom. Now you've got a T.
Oh, that's right, you don't have a mic.
So you see how 2 is formed. 3 is formed the same way. This is again a Roman numeral. Now you've made it into an M, so that's May or Maypole. The number 4 is a little different. You take the last consonant instead of the first one in this case, and so that's an R. 4 is R. So it's the last letter of the word in this particular case. 5, what the inventor of this system did is turn 5 upside down. And he made that into an L. So that's 5 upside down is an L, and that's law. 6 looks like a J.
Well, there's actually two different ways of doing 5. Yeah. The V.
Okay, you gave it, okay, as a Roman numeral, 5 is a V.
A V, and you turn it, and it's tilted into an L.
Okay, tilt it to make an L.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 is a J because it looks like a J, roughly. 7 is,
It was too rough, right? See the K?
the K is backwards from 7, so it's formed that way. The 8 is an F. That comes from the F clef in music. It's supposed to be like an F clef. So 8 is a clef